Imagine going into a fight expecting to knock out your opponent, only to discover you've been swinging at a brick wall. That's essentially what happened with Trump's trade war in 2018. The US imposed tariffs on Chinese goods to cut its trade deficit, cripple China's industries, and bring manufacturing back home, a strategy that seemed solid on paper. But reality told a different story. Instead of succumbing, China not only weathered the storm, but thrived. The tariffs didn't just miss their mark, they revealed weaknesses in the US approach and pushed China to adapt, innovate, and come back stronger. Let's unpack it. Trump's strategy was straightforward. Hit China where it hurts. The US slapped tariffs as high as 60% on Chinese imports, aiming to shrink the trade deficit, create jobs, and protect American industries. But here's the twist. China sidestepped the blow, and American consumers ended up bearing the brunt. Between 2018 and 2020, the trade deficit with China shrank by a modest 17%, but the overall US trade deficit surged by 40%. Why? Instead of cutting back on imports, American companies simply shifted their sourcing to countries like Vietnam, Mexico, and others. The supply chain changed, but the dependency on foreign goods remained, and it came at a cost. Studies revealed that U.S. households paid an extra $1,200 annually due to higher prices on items like electronics, clothing, and furniture. In essence, the tariffs acted as a tax on Americans, not on China. And what about the promise to bring back manufacturing? It largely fell flat. While a handful of factories did open, the impact was underwhelming. The steel industry, a key focus of Trump's strategy, saw only minor gains, and the U.S. continued to rely on intermediary countries for raw materials. Meanwhile, China wasn't just standing still. Beijing used the crisis as an opportunity, a launch pad to adapt, innovate, and strengthen its position globally. Let's explore how China turned the trade war to its advantage. Here's the unexpected twist. The trade war wasn't a setback for China. It was a wake-up call. Under mounting pressure, Beijing doubled down on self-reliance, innovation, and forging new alliances. Take semiconductors, for example, one of China's biggest vulnerabilities. Enter the Huawei Mate 60 smartphone, a groundbreaking product that shocked global markets by highlighting China's unexpected advancements in chip technology. And that was just the beginning. China's diversification strategy ramped up significantly. It secured trade agreements with regions like Africa, Latin America, and Europe, reducing its dependence on the US market. Take Brazil, for instance. China now trades directly with Brazil using local currencies, effectively bypassing the US dollar. Perhaps the most strategic move, however, was the expansion of the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. By investing in infrastructure projects across developing nations, China established new trade routes and strengthened its influence in critical regions around the globe. Picture this. While the US focused on decoupling, China was busy forging stronger ties with half the world. But China's success wasn't just a result of its strategy. It also stemmed from America's inability to rally its allies effectively. So the question arises, is the US losing its allies to China? Think America has the world firmly on its side. Think again. Countries like Germany, Japan, and even Australia are walking a fine line between US loyalty and Chinese trade. Take Huawei's 5G technology as an example. Despite years of US pressure to ban Huawei over national security concerns, many allies didn't budge. Germany, for instance, refused to sever ties with China, citing economic interdependence. Even Japan, one of America's closest allies, continues to import essential Chinese components to sustain its industries. This reluctance highlights a tough reality. America's heavy-handed approach is driving its allies closer to China rather than away. And why wouldn't they? China offers investments, trade opportunities, and economic stability, while the US offers tariffs and ultimatums. It's not just Europe and Asia either. China is making major inroads in Latin America, a region once considered America's backyard. Let's shift our focus south of the border. China is making bold moves in Latin America, investing billions in infrastructure, locking in trade deals, and leaving Washington scrambling to keep up. Sounds improbable? It's already happening. Take Peru's Megaport project, for example. This initiative is transforming regional trade dynamics in China's favor by significantly reducing shipping times between South America and Asia. Meanwhile, in Brazil, China has become the top trading partner, brokering agreements to trade in local currencies, a move that chips away at the US dollar's dominance. But it's not just about trade. China is also securing its future by gaining control over critical resources like lithium and rare earth metals, vital for global industries and emerging technologies. Argentina, for instance, has emerged as a key destination for Chinese investments in lithium mining, a resource critical for electric vehicles and renewable energy. But this growing influence isn't just about economics, it's about power. Once a U.S. stronghold, Latin America is now leaning increasingly toward Beijing. If that sounds concerning, just wait. China's technological dominance is already reshaping global power dynamics. And the question keeping Washington awake at night, is China on the verge of surpassing the U.S. in technology? The answer might be closer than you think. China now produces 80% of the world's solar panels, leads in electric vehicle manufacturing, and is rapidly narrowing the gap in semiconductor technology. While the US still holds an edge in advanced chip making, experts suggest China is gaining ground. And it's not just about semiconductors. China is making massive investments in AI and renewable energy, positioning itself as a leader in industries that will shape the future. Imagine a world where China controls the technologies powering electric grids, transportation systems, and even military operations. That's the reality the US may soon face. Ironically, it was the trade war intended to weaken China that catalyzed this shift. Trump's tariffs, aimed at crippling China, instead spurred it to accelerate innovation and build strategic alliances. While the US focused on decoupling, China was busy forging connections with half the world. Meanwhile, America's aggressive tactics are straining relationships with allies and taking a toll on its own economy. Rising inflation, supply chain disruptions, and a ballooning national debt are just a few of the unintended consequences of this approach. What comes next? Can the US adapt, or is it too late to shift the balance? Here's the harsh reality. The trade war didn't weaken China. It exposed America's vulnerabilities. As China pushes forward with innovation, strengthens alliances, and dominates emerging industries, the US is at a crossroads. The choice is clear. Adapt to the new global landscape or risk fading into irrelevance. The real question is whether America has the vision to pivot or if it will continue fighting a battle that's already been lost. Now, if you like this video, check out this next video right here.